just shut off. I don't know. Anyway, nothing but blue skies today. I'm gonna go on a hunt. I'm gonna hit up a couple other places and see if I can get some good driver bits. These little ones, I have some at work, and they came in a kit, and they also had these little heat shrink rings on them, and these have been really good. So I'm hoping these are the same ones. If not, we're gonna get a couple more. Number 2 Phillips bits. You go through them like crazy if you're not careful. Anyway, don't need that. Probably don't need quite so much heat either. It's warmed up a bit. Gonna go track those down. It is 10 o'clock. I have had no coffee. I have had no orange juice. I am running on residual vanilla ice cream from 11 hours ago. So, need to find me some grub. We're going to do that too. Today, when we get into the apartment, I think we mentioned this in a previous video, we're going to finish headers and the framing for the floor as much as we can. And then get the fixtures for the lights, and that's probably it today. Can't do any of the wall stuff till the floor is down. Can't do the floor stuff till the floor shows up. The floor is not going to be here till tomorrow, so we can't do the floor till tomorrow. Terribly exciting stuff. I know you're thrilled. I'm thrilled. Can you tell? Look at this. That's how thrilled I am. It's very bright. Anyway. Okay. New blades for the knife because I think I'm down to my last one. Found some Bosch. Didn't find any Irwins, but I found some Bosch. Adequate substitute. And picked up one of these little magnetic part tray kind of things. Kind of nice to have sometimes. Yeah. I'm like 3 screws short on finishing that. Excuse me. So we'll finish that. We got to get the one over there in. You can probably take out those wedges now. Then when that's done, we know we're putting our lights in this bay. We know it's 11 feet wide. So 5.5 from each wall is the center. It's going to be real close to that. We'll get up there. We'll put the boxes in. Wires down there. We'll just run the wire. And unfortunately, that'll probably be it today. I mean, I'll clean the rest of the crap off the floor. But yeah, can't do anything till the floor is down. And the floor ain't getting here till tomorrow, so that'll be how it be. Okay, here's our bay. I haven't measured yet, but I wanted to show you these first. This is for new work, meaning you have access to studs and everything. Comes with the nails in it. You just drive these in. Now you notice this little lip here. It's flat on that side. That goes against your joist. And it does that so you don't want it sitting way up here. This is incorrect. That's where you want it to stop. So when you get your drywall and everything on it, you still have this partly exposed enough that it's easy to get to and work on. If you put it way up here, then you're going to be in a, it's harder to finish up to this than it is up to this. So this is the wire we're using, the 14-2. Now what we need is we need our 5.5. And we're not going to go from our new line there, our header. We want to go from the wall. And this tape doesn't have numbers on the back. And this tape is kind of wore out. So not a joy to use. Not 5.5. 5.5 is right there. Right there, right where that knot is. So we'll just come straight across from there. There. Straight across from there. This is not a great position to do this in. Is about there. About there. So we'll put our box right about there. This board is going to be in the way, so we will go right here, right next to it. Then we can run our wire up and over. And I'm starting with the farthest one, because I can get to it. 2, we'll drop our wire through, and then we'll feed it that way into the next fixture, run it out about a foot, cut it, run it over to the wall. That's how we'll do. So we've got more than enough. Probably aren't even going to need this. If we did the other thing where we took the other 2 lights and put them side by side, I would use this for those, but we're not going to do that. So let's get that box attached. Back down here on the ground for a minute. There's our box. The way these work, your light fixture will screw into these. They're a universal spacing for the most part. Pretty easy. Most fixtures have a groove so you can wiggle them around. And in the back here are these tabs. You knock those out to run your wire through. If it's a metal box, you should put a grommet on them to protect the wire. Plastic box, not as big a deal. It's easier to knock these out when they're down on the ground, obviously, because you got a handle on them, etc., etc. I didn't do that. So we're going to use our lineman's pliers. These are lineman's pliers. You can tell because they're pretty robust. They've got a squared off nose. They've got a pretty deep cavity there for wire stripping. And for a normal human being, we call these lineman's pliers. If you are an electrician, you call these pliers, hammer, wire strippers, needle nose pliers. Whatever the job you are doing is that you need a tool for, this is what you call them. Everybody else on the planet, lineman's pliers. Okay? Don't go calling these things they ain't. Because if you're working with an electrician and you say, hey, can I borrow your hammer? He's going to throw these at you. Can I borrow your wire strippers? He's going to throw these at you. Can I borrow a pair of pliers? Might throw these at you. Probably won't. It's an electrician. It's hard to know for sure. Anyway, back up we go. Now that we're up here, I can show you something else a little better. It's hard down there. So if you look back here, this is where the wire feeds in. There's these little ridges. You can hear them? What's supposed to happen is you push the wire in, and then that pinches it and holds it, so it doesn't go back out. That's fine. I mean, it ain't gonna hurt nothing. I would still rather would just break those out myself, because, I mean, you leave a foot, you trim off the outer casing of like 6 inches of it, you put it together, and then you can either fish it through or you put it in there and you cover it. It's a thing that happens that I don't think needs to exist, but it is there. Okay, they're not, perfectly in line, but it's pretty close. So we got well more than a foot here, running over. You can see it's still got some coil on it, so we've got well more than we need over here. This short leg. This is one running out of that side of the box to that fixture, and this one running over to the thing. I don't remember. Some things you can pigtail in a box like that. Some things you can't. I think lights are okay because I'm only running 2 of them. So I think. Ugh. Belt gets kind of heavy. And my back's a little angry today. Anyway, so plenty over there. Plenty over there. Yeah. So that's how that's going to work. I need to get up there and staple it. I'm going to wait till the floor is in to do that. Then I'm going to bring out my real ladder. We'll get up and staple it about every... I think it's supposed to be every joist. Every 16 inches. Might be every 24. I don't remember. We'll see. But now that that's done, that's the only thing going up there. So get all that wired in, everything. Then I can actually start insulating that. I can get some insulation and start insulating that. Oh, that's the plan. Oh, I need to take these out. They've done their job. I got that in there too good. It won't hurt to be there another day. There we go. And I did mention that probably going to put another one right in the middle. Right? I think I said that yesterday. Not. There we go. Not 100% sure we'll do that. We might. One in the middle and then, side to side. I could stagger them that way. Get a little more out of my material. Don't know. Your old pal Jason is going to go take a break. Rest my aching back. Be ready for the floor delivery tomorrow. Storm is moving in. Don't know when for sure. I can't go there. But we'll deal with that when it happens. Gotta go get this tarp. Oh, put this stuff back. Forgetting to do that. Gotta get that tarp put back down. Oh, man. I just do not feel good today. I think it's going to be a go crash on the couch for a couple hours kind of afternoon, folks. That's what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts on the subject? I mean, look, I could stay out and keep doing floor stuff, but I don't want to have to move everything again, So I think we'll do this side first. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see when it gets here. I'll sleep on it. How's that sound? Sounds good to me too. Morning, people. It is about 6:16 a.m. 46 degrees. We are out. Oop, there it is. There that is. Out here at the apartment. Delivery changed. Instead of being between 8 and 6, is now 6 to 8. Glad I woke up early. There we go. So I need to make some room. So these, and whatever else in this mess, for the most part, I can fit over in the shed. Shed is gonna get moved over to the shed today. I'm also gonna have to plug my work light in. It's very wet out on the lawn. It rained last night. So thank God I got that tarp for covering up the lumber. It may rain today. So I also need to get some, I've got like a little pop-up canopy kind of thing. That should work. Probably gonna set it up, throw it out on the lawn. Some extra sawhorses over there somewhere. We'll get that all taken care of. So if it does show up, and it does look like it's gonna rain, it'll be covered. As much as I wanted to do plywood for a couple of different reasons, nobody had any. And what they did have was double the price of OSB. And OSB was already $30-something a sheet. And I had to get 16 sheets total. I didn't want to spend the extra money on plywood. So, first rule of the day, let's get any and all tools that don't need to be out put away, and then start hauling. Oh, my back is still not great. Start hauling some of this crap out of here. So, I'll be with you when we've made some progress. Okay, before some chucklehead says, hey Jason, why didn't you just pull that stuff in the shed to begin with? You opened up like half the room. Listen, Shecky, Shekel, Zeppo, other guy, Gallagher. That shed still needed to be usable. I need to mow my lawn, but you know what? It just ain't gonna get done till I get some of that crap out of the way. Why didn't you put the rest of that in there, Jason? For the most part, that's all light stuff and easy to move. There's one bag full of mic stands that weighs an absolute ton, but it's not too bad. And this big guy's on wheels, so I put wheels on that. I got tired of hauling it, so yeah, we put wheels on that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to finish just kind of moving this stuff over there. Our sheets come in 8x4. Our space is 11. Last I mathed, 8. And 8 is bigger than 11. And 4 and 4 and 4 is bigger than 11. But 4 and 4 and 4 is slightly less big than 11. So our first run is going to go this way. So we'll have 4 feet, 4 feet, 3 feet. So we'll just cut a 1 foot strip. And then the next run, we'll go 4 feet, 4 feet, 3 feet. That's 8 and 8. that's 16. We know this is 11. So that's going to put us right about here. So most all of this will just get scooted back a little bit. I just need to keep it low enough that when I bring my wood in through the door, I can turn over the top of it. Shouldn't be a big deal. We'll get this half done, 3/4 first, and then we'll either probably 3/4 this side and 1/2 inch this side. And when we do the half, we're going to go this way, 8, and then the difference, 3 feet, 8. So our joints are staggered. Doesn't matter as much with OSB since it doesn't really have a grain, you know, but it's that stuff. Doesn't really have a grain, so it's not as important, but I'm gonna have to cut it one way or the other, so I'd rather have the bigger sheets in the fuller sheets and the smaller sheets in the smaller sheets. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna move that, roll that out of the way. One of the smartest things I ever did, put casters on that. We might take a look at this in a video someday. This is an interesting amp. This is a Yamaha B100 115. The cabinet had a head on it. The head died, couldn't get it repaired, so we got rid of it. And then I found a B100 head, just standalone, that had almost all the same stuff, but has built-in distortion on a bass amp. The cabinet head didn't have that. So it's almost the right head for the cab. And it was in such bad shape, all the cover was bad, so I had them wrap it in carpet. Gives us a real more 70s vibe than it had to begin with. I love this amp. This is my first like good bass amp. Now I've got a Heart Key, which I also really like. It's a 210. Oh, I should hook them together someday. Ladies and gentlemen. Oh boy. But no, I can't do that yet. Where did I put my coffee? There it is. I think part of the reason I was feeling so absolutely horrid yesterday, it was like 6 o'clock in the afternoon by the time I had a cup of coffee. And that's not caffeine withdrawals. I don't get caffeine. Like, I don't get that. I've never got that. I mean, I'm sure there's a point where everybody gets it, but I'm not one of these people who can drink like super espresso and then be jittery all day. So, excuse me. Anyway, house, shed's right there, right behind that chair. And I also got thinking, I could put the lights in now and not have to run the work light. I could wire them up and just, you know, wire not a 3-prong plug on that. I think I've got an extra one that I cut off of an extension cord somewhere. We could actually have light. We talked about that little guy. I mean, it's dark. See that? That's dark. We call that dark. And in here, that little light, man. It's not great. It looks better on the camera than it does in person. But it's pretty good. All right. So this is gotta go. This needs to go. This is even older than that Yamaha. It's an old K. Like K-A-Y, not the letter K. K-A-Y. Buddy gave me this. That's it. That's all you got. Sounds damned nice. Real, it sounds of its time. It's for sale. I don't, unfortunately, need another one. I mean, another guitar amp. I've got 4 or 5. And I think there's somebody out there who'd be really into this retro-y kind of stuff that would enjoy this. Anyway, enough talky, more worky. Okay. It's mostly clear. While we're waiting, I'll tell a little story. But first, reference marks. Our OSB and everything comes in 8x4. We talked about that. 8 feet is right there. My next 8 is right there. So that's plenty to do that with. And our middle, when we want to run our support, is right there. I thought about using our wedge boards there for that, but I'm not gonna. Those have been cut once, and we're gonna have to cut them again to make them fit for studs. So we'll just get some 8-footers, full length. We'll put those in, and then measure the difference on each side. Do we need to do that? No. Is it a little bit of overkill? Yes. Are we gonna do it? Absolutely. And what's gonna happen when we get everything laid down, we're just going to screw it all in from the top. I'm not going to do any towing in on all this stuff. It will be fine. However, what we want to make sure we do is we'll put our center board in, we'll put our sides in, and then on the wall, we're going to mark where all of our laterals, I guess, for lack of a better term, are going to be. That way there's no guesswork once we get all the other flooring down. That's the plan. I should probably work on that here pretty quick. But story time. I had to order the flooring and a miter saw from Home Depot. I do not like shopping at Home Depot. The reason I had to order it from Home Depot, one, nobody around had enough to do the job. None of my local people did because, according to them, building season is wrapping up, so they're reducing their inventory. But they could order me some. I said, oh, that'd be great. How soon could you get me some? Oh, a couple weeks. Well, that's not so great. Lowe's didn't have any of the 3/4. They had 2 sheets at the next nearest store, but they wouldn't deliver it. I don't know why. So I had to go Home Depot. Lowe's had the saw I wanted, Craftsman. Home Depot did not, because they don't carry Craftsman. They had a... See, here's my issue with Home Depot. I don't like them, and we'll find out why in a minute. But I like some of their product line. Like Lowe's has Craftsman. I really like Craftsman. Craftsman's been great for me. Even if it's not as good as it used to be, it's not garbage. It's good tools. Home Depot has Rigid. Rigid is good tools. Lowe's has Skill. Skill is good tools. They don't have a whole lot. So, DeWalt, Ryobi, Bosch, all of those. Number one, I don't have the money for Bosch or DeWalt. I don't really care that much for Milwaukee. But my little circular saw, the one we used to cut the floor up, it's a Ryobi, and it's been great. And Home Depot had a Ryobi miter saw for about $20 less than the Craftsman I was going to get at Lowe's. So I threw it on the order with this. And the reason I got the miter saw, as we discussed, this is not 8 feet. Once we get the floor down, and now that header's on there, it's really not 8 feet. And I didn't want to cut 40, 50, 60 studs with a handsaw. So we'll just miter them down, chop them up on the miter saw. This is the second time in my life I have shopped at Home Depot. Purchased. The first time I purchased anything at Home Depot, it was 2 3/4 inch PVC T couplers. I needed to fix my shower in my house. It's a clawfoot tub. It's got some weird shower curtain thing. It mounts to the wall and then the ceiling. And I looked and looked and looked for a excuse me, replacement parts because one of the little parts broke. And I looked everywhere for replacement parts for this. I'm like, it ain't gonna work. We're just gonna go to goodness, excuse me. I guess we'll have to go to a big box store and see what they got. So I went to Home Depot because it was the closest one. And wandered and wandered and wandered, and they don't have any such a thing. And blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, fine, I'm just going to buy these PVC tees. It's not going to look great. It's not going to look right, but it will work. It's all I care about. I would like to take a shower, please. So I buy them. It's like $4, $1 something a piece and change, and then tax, right? And I buy them, and I come home the next day, and something in my mind said, you should probably look at your bank statement. So I World Wide Web it, typey. And I look, and I'm like $700 in the negative. And I don't know why, because there was tons of money the day before. So I'm looking through recent purchases. Like, here's a pizza from Domino's. Well, I haven't had Domino's in months because I don't care for it all that much. But that's neither here nor there. I'd never ordered Domino's. And then there's like a $600-something order for Foot Locker. I don't know if there's a Foot Locker in the state. And I sure as hell ain't shopping there. So I call my bank and I say, hey, we got a problem. And the teller, branch manager, whatever her position is now, one of the nice things about being in and living in a small town is you get to know everybody, right? So I went to school with said person, and her younger brother and my younger brother went to school. And her grandparents owned a bar that I have gone and played music at a few times. And, when they need somebody to go and do something, they usually call me, and because they're really nice people, and I like doing nice things for nice people. Anyway, so we're on the phone. She's like, well, what seems to be the questionable charge? And she says, oh, wait, before you answer that, is it this Foot Locker one? And I said, yeah, that's it. And I said, there's about 3 or 4 others right in that same time span that are not mine. Like, oh, you didn't order $67 or whatever it was worth of pizza from Domino's? No, ma'am, I did not. I didn't think that was you either. Because, that's a lot of pizza for one man. I said, yeah, it would be. He said, plus the zip code puts it in New York City with the Foot Locker and something else, whatever it was, I don't remember. Such a nice day today. Anyway, so we go through this whole rigmarole. She says, have you shopped anywhere? Have you ordered anything online? Maybe someplace you've never ordered before? That kind of thing. And I said, funny you should mention that, because for the first time ever in my life, I shopped at Home Depot last night, or yesterday afternoon, morning, whenever it was. And she says, you've never shopped there before? Nope. Well, she says, we can't really say for sure that this is where the issue would have come from. It may not be. But if you shopped at all these other places that you are a regular, consistent shopper at, and you've never had any problems, she says, again, I can't blame them for sure. But if that's the one and only time you've been there, and this is the one and only time it's happened to you, could be a thing. It could be a thing. So she says, we're going to refund all those charges. We're going to see what we can do to maybe pursue the people who have used your card. Don't hold your breath. And she says, we're going to sign you up for this new identity protection thing. It's like $1 a month. said, okay, do it. Anyway, that's the long and short story of how $6, well, not even six, $5 in PVC pipe parts cost me like $700-800 at a Home Depot one time. And again, I know it's very unlikely that was it, but the I can't even think of the word. I'm tired. The proximity of the two events happening as they did, related or not, really just made me think, like, yeah, that one time I went to Home Depot, this happened. So I was very hesitant to go back to Home Depot, and I've not. And I'm not the only one who I know has had problems with Home Depot. My boss ordered a box of outlets. He was redoing a little similar kind of project. And he needed a bunch of 20 amp outlets, so we ordered a box of them. And I asked him, you're up there. This Home Depot's like half hour away. I said, you're up there once in a while. Why didn't you just pick them up? I said, because I didn't want to. I said, oh, that's fair. I feel the same. Well, anyway, he ordered them. Never got them. Called them, like, we can't help you track them since we didn't actually ship them. Those go through UPS or whatever. So he calls UPS. UPS is like, we can't help you. We didn't, we don't, the order does not originate with us. It originates from them. So any information has to go through them. And he's not a terribly patient man sometimes. And he's getting a little frustrated. And I was, I would be very frustrated in that situation. Because in my mind, it's like, one of you screwed up and you're both pointing the finger at the other one, is what it sounds like. So, and then he argues with them. It's like, well, I never got my order. I need you to refund me. And Home Depot's telling him, no, sir, we can't do that because the order is shipped. It is marked as been delivered. Blah, 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 blah. I was like, well, that may be, but I never got it, so I want my money back. And they would not do it, So he got a hold of his credit card company. And they reversed the charges, which, was nice of them. But after something like that, man, I would be like, I'm never shopping there again. That's ridiculous. However, I still think he should have just gone and picked them up. And I don't think he needed a box. I think he needed 5 or 6. But, it's been a situation where I know more people who have had bad times with Home Depot than have had pleasant. I don't like shopping there. Number one, my history with them. Number 2, other people's history with them. And number 3, the owner, founder, CEO, whatever it is, kind of a dick. Kind of a real big Trump supporting asshole. So one of these guys like, we gotta kick out all the Mexicans. Like, dude, you own Home Depot. I think all these people building all these homes so fast are getting their really cheap labor to do it. You wouldn't have a job. You wouldn't have a company if you didn't have that kind of labor force, man. We get that with the farmers out here. All these illegal immigrants out here taking our jobs. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, why do you keep hiring them? Out there moving your lines, and I know you pay them cash. I used to, when I was working, now we just turned into story time. Back when I used to work at a grocery store, many, many years ago, I had worked my way up the ranks from lonely cashier to potential assistant manager. So I'm running like the customer service desk. So we did check cashing and tobacco sales, money orders and things like that. And we had, God, you could tell when payday hit because we had a lot of guys came in, barely spoke any English, and they needed to send hundreds, if not thousands of dollars back to Mexico. Or I think I sent some to Guatemala a few times, you know, just everywhere, right? And I ain't judging, man. They're making it work. Good for them. I think that's great. But I'm just, you know, there's a reason you guys are coming to me to do this instead of like using something like Venmo or PayPal. And that's because you can't put the money in it because you don't have a bank account because you're getting paid cash. Now you're getting paid cash, so Farmer Brown doesn't have to pay taxes on you. And Farmer Brown, out of one side of his mouth, is telling you guys how great it's going to be to come work for him. And out of the other side of his mouth is telling his buddies how horrible it is that you guys are here working for him. It's a bunch of horse hockey. Bunch of bullshit, I say. I apologize for my rant. It drives me nuts. All right, so we're going to mark our 16s on the floor here so we know where we're going this way. Maybe we'll do 24. They did 16s. Do I want to do 24s? Sixteens will spread the load better. And I'm a lot of load to spread. I mean, look at that. Mountain of a man. Anyway. But we're also not going as high. We better do 16th. Anyway, so here's our tape. And we're not going to run off of here because this is going to really count as like our first 16. So we're going to scoot it to the middle. That's center of this one. So now we find our 16. Everywhere there is a red box on the tape measure, that's 16 inches. So we can just mark here. Here. And we don't have to be spot on because this is the middle. Here. Here. Now, here, we're right next to a door. So if we put one here, this is for the floor, we're going to be fine. If we were doing the walls, I would skip putting one here and just put one here. I would come over this extra 4 inches and just put one there. And then you double this one up because it's by a door. So we're going to have one here. Here, where there's a chunk in there. And then right there. And now we'll take the tape up, do the same thing on this side. Just keeping an eye out. I don't know if they're going to call me first or what. But yeah, we'll pull the tape up, put it on this side, do the same thing. We'll put our run in the middle And just to show you how we're going to do that, I'll use one of these scrap pieces. Now I could just come in and kind of line that up and say, okay, perfect, is great. But is it great? Where did I put my square? I just saw it. I thought I tucked it somewhere. Every time I walk by and look in here, I'm like, oh God, we still have to do the bathroom. I know I picked it up. Did I put it in here? And I just don't see it. One in there. One in there. Well, that's troublesome. Anyway, you could take my speed square and put it in the corner and square it up that way. I'm gonna have to find that thing. I'm gonna need it. There it is. Oh, phone call. Okay, he's on the way. Here's the good news. He's coming. Here's the bad news. I was really hoping he could pull in back here, and we just unloaded over there. Doesn't sound like that's going to be a thing, but we're going to see when he gets here. Anyway, speed square. Now, since nothing is square, we can do that. That's pretty close. And then we know we're okay up here. Down here we should be fine, but what we're going to do is we're going to measure the distance. I'll make a cut, and we'll pick our nearest 16, which unfortunately, with this board anyway, is right here. Right at 8 feet. But since we're using a full one, we'll pull this one out, we'll put an 8 foot, we'll cut this one and this one, get that set, and then we can build that way. And then it won't want to do this so much. It'll want to do this, but we can adjust for that as we go. Or if we adjust this way, it's going to be a little more difficult to do. Anyway, truck's coming. He's going to be here 30, 45 minutes or so. I was supposed to go to breakfast about now, so that's probably not going to happen. Guess I better get to work. Man, such a nice day. Anyway, lumber. I'm fairly positive I didn't order the tongue and groove stuff. Home Depot. That's what you sent me though. And it's got a little wet. That ain't great. Plywood will dry out better than OSB. OSB will swell if it gets too wet, especially on the edges. Should be fine. They were nice enough to put the 3/4 on top. And the saw. Perfect timing too, because I was just about to come out and start working on this so I can grab the little saw. Now the big saw's here. So we'll move our setup over there. Start my mark was ready. Brought a chair. I heard the truck stop, went out, talked to the guy. Hi, Felix. Super nice dude. Not gonna blame Home Depot for the tongue and groove stuff. I may have ordered that. I didn't want to, if I did, but I may have. Just wasn't what I needed for this project. But that's what we got, so it's what we got to deal with. So we were gonna start back here, but since everything's here, we'll do this one first. Then I can set the table up here, cut, and move backwards. Felix! Good job. We'll get that first piece on the top in as quick as we can. I think the fan is still, fan's still out here. We'll get the fan on it to help dry it out. This could have happened yesterday, man. Would have been great. Would have been great. Oh boy, it included a blade. Good. I bought a blade, but this one will be just fine. Table extensions, work clamp, a blade wrench, and a dust bag. Oh my God, Ryobi. You are spoiled. What am I doing? We already opened that. He wanted me to open it to make sure everything looked cool before we took off. Before he took off. Okay. I do love me some styrofoam. My man came prepared. He had a little forklift, and we just drove it up and parked it, and that was good. Don't get too comfy. You may start doing things that I don't want you to do. Now my biggest concern is, this is like a 1400 watt fan or something. Fan saw. The saw is just a fan with the pokey bits on the outside. It's often been said. I missed breakfast. Apparently I got the one with the slide. I did not recall doing that. Okay. Alright, look. That's what happens to inanimate objects that anger me. This might be a two-handed operation, folks. There we go. Well, it's not very heavy. Most miter saws aren't, from what I am led to believe. Did I tell you guys the story about the lady and the service dog? They went walking by while I was out here working, and homeboy who lives in the RV there had a bunch of bicycles, and she was digging through them, and I don't think she appreciated me seeing her do that. Did have the dog on the leash this time, though. Somebody else must have got after her about that. There we go. I don't know what that's for. It's got cardboard on it. Means I don't need it. Alright, I'm going to need two hands to do this. When we come back, I'll have this done. There's our 8-foot. And then we'll get some OSB down. Okay, we are set up. A couple things. Feels really good. Movement is really good on this. This little switch is a light, which I love. That's great. Got the bag on. Got the thing. There's probably a thing I need to do with that. Ain't gonna worry about it. And it had some rests. I need to get something out on that side though. The way these work, you want to cut an angle. You turn this, shoot, and it moves you from 0, which is straight, to degrees this way. There are other miter saws where the whole saw will pitch like this. How's that? Motion sickness. This one does not do that. I did not need one that did that. So, Felix is in for a rough morning here. You're really not going to want to stand there, buddy. Yeah, this is here. We'll build out to our 8 feet, like I said, which is right at the end of this. Obviously the OSB is not going to go this far because we've got a board width against the wall, but we'll build it out to the end of this because this is an 8 foot. And we'll start laying down, get that OSB in, get it all screwed down, and then off to the races. Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing's fastened down yet, but we're working on it. I've altered this slightly, just based on where the joints were going to line up. This is the 3/4. It's not terribly heavy, lighter than I thought. Get you one of those. You grab your ply, sits in that, so you can carry it at the bottom without hunching over. Just like that feller right there. Is an amazingly good product. I did run into a situation. I want to put a half on top of that. A 1/2 inch piece on top of that, but it's all on the bottom. So I'm going to have to do all the 3/4, and then I got to do all the 1/2. Wasn't thinking ahead. Should have thought ahead a little better. You make mistakes. It happens. It's not a big deal. Nothing that is broken cannot be fixed. That's a good wisdom for you. Anyway, so the reason I've stopped here, nothing is screwed down yet. We're going to screw some of this down. And you need to screw it down before you really set your tongue and groove there. So we're going to screw this one down, scoot that over, get it in tight, screw that one down, and then we'll measure this distance, and we cut off the tongue side so we can leave the groove side. Then we'll take the tongue side that we cut off, and we'll start our next row with that, and then we'll come this way. We'll have another cut, so on and so forth. Gonna do the best to make all my cuts, for the most part, on the 4-foot side, so I don't have to do a real long 8-foot cut. To do a real long 8-foot cut, should you need to, that's what these are for. So what we're going to do with these, as a small demonstration, say I'm going to cut an edge off of this. Make your mark where you need to cut, put your saw on it. So we'll say I'm going to cut right there. Right there. So I'm going to put my saw on it. And you see where my table stops? I'm going to take my board. It's going to run the whole length, clamp it at each end, and then you've got something you can run up against. Now this saw, because the motor's on this side, I would actually do it this way. But if I'm using my corded Ryobi, the motor's on the opposite side, so it would go on this side. But it's the same principle. Make your mark, put a board down, clamp it, make sure it's straight, and then just right along the board. Quick and easy, man. Ain't too bad. So, I'm gonna be screwing all day. Boy, are my arms tired. Okay, first 2 runs are screwed down. Feeling pretty good about it. Now it's time to cut this piece. And one thing it's handy to do, because this is not straight, nothing's straight. That board is no longer straight. How? I don't know. Some of them are a little warped. That could be one of them. From here, the very top to the wall was 30 3/4 inch. So I made it 30 1/2. And then we did the same thing over here. It was 31 1/2 ish. 3/8 probably. I made it 31 1/8. And we did that because it can't go flat. It's got to go in and then down because of that tongue. So, plan is we'll bring a piece in here. Huh. I didn't think I got that style of saw. Oh, yep, right there. There's the angle gauge. How about that? Okay. I'm going to get a piece, bring it in here. I'm going to have to put it on some scrap piece to get it up off the floor so I can cut it. But 30 and a half, 31 and a quarter, make a mark on our new board, make a mark on our new board. We'll put a line on it, get a 2x4, clamp it down, cut it with our saw. I don't want to say it's quick and easy, but it's not exactly slow and difficult. Okay, here's a visual aid. Now, easiest way to do this, where I put my tape measure. It's never in the same pocket twice. I must have left it right there. These things should be on string. So we're going from this side of the fence to the blade. The blade on this saw is right there. So you measure that. Yep, not quite an inch and a half, inch and a quarter, I mean. So my line is just a little proud of that. And it's the same way on both sides. I've got my blade height adjusted. So it will go through the board and not into the floor. This is clamped down nice and tight. You see? Yeah. Good old Irwin. Put the tape measure back in the tool bag. Okay. Now we just make our cut, keeping the saw against the board. I'm stuck. There we go. Remember, back up, start. Okay. That's where we went under the 2x4. Yeah, nope, we're good. Groove is on this side. Tongue is on that side. Before we put this against the wall to start our next row, I'm going to do another cut and just get it straight. That way it's not going to be shifted the rest of the way. Yeah. All right. Garbage man's here. Okay, so all's good. Problem I had over there, even though I cut it a little wide, the wall's so textured. that I had to break some chunks. It was either cut the board again or break some chunks off. Didn't want to do that, so we broke some chunks off. Yeah. We good, man. Squeak free. Okay, before I make my straight cut on this one, I want to make sure we're on the same page here if you're doing this for any educational purposes, right? First thing to do, stop watching this. Go watch someone who knows what the hell they're doing. Second, we want to make this side, which is now the angle side because we cut that line off of it. This is not straight anymore. This goes this way. We want to make it this way. So if we measure off of this side, it's still crooked this way. So we measure off of this side, which is straight. We come in 11.5 inches. I'm going to put my saw on this side of the board, and that will give me a straight side put up against this wall. Now that this is down, I don't have to move much. I need to move this stuff and that stuff because our next run is going to stop right about here, right up against the guitars. It still doesn't look very straight, does it? It's only, according to the level, it's only like a degree or two off. It looks worse, but the level says it's fine. And the level ain't gonna lie to me. Who are you gonna believe? My level or your lying eyes? Here's what's going on. That's a heater and air conditioner. That's gotta go in. It's gonna go in over there somewhere, I think. That breaker box is garbage. All the wiring's been cut and ripped out. That's a new breaker box. Before that can go on the wall, I need to frame the wall. Before I can frame the wall, got to put the floor down so I have something to put the wall on. So got to get the floor done so I can get the wall built, so I can get the breaker in, so I can get it put in, have the electrical hooked up, and then I can put a heater up there and have power and not worry too much about it. Because the water from my house runs right about there. Goes right under this and is tied into this. And if this freezes, the house could freeze. So I need to get it done enough that I can have some heat in here. Get some insulation on the ceiling and in the walls. And yeah, so that's why I'm trying to get all of this done this week. Because once the power's up, I take all the time I want. Ran out of screws. Can't use the big ones for this project because there's not enough wood. So we gotta get smaller ones. And I remember when I said mistakes happen. I goofed. It's not great. When I measured with my lumber going this way, not this way. So now I'm going to be short a little bit. They should have about that much more on it, which, ain't great. We'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. I don't know how at the moment, but we'll deal with it. It's fine. Anyway, I ran out of screws right there, so I got to finish screwing this piece down. We'll measure and cut that piece. Then we'll do that. And then I can bring all of the 1/2 inch inside and just set it on top of the 3/4. And then just, we'll stack it all over there. We'll take a piece, we'll put it down. We'll take a piece, we'll put it down. Get it out of the rain. It's been sprinkling on and off all day, and I don't like it. Okay, I should have raised this one more. I keep bumping my head right there. Hi, how are you? Welcome to the part of the video. This is the last part of the 3/4. If you may recall, we needed 7 1/4 sheets, so we ordered 8, so we're perfect. Perfect as we can be. And this is the only one we really have to do 2 cuts on as a single sheet. the way we planned everything out. This is the only one. We've got to cut down both width and length. There's our numbers. There's our numbers. And it needs to be 78 3/4 this way by 79 that way. And it needs to be 43 5/8 this way by 45 1/4 this way. So I was real worried my anchors weren't going to hold up, but they've been holding up. I had stakes, I can't find them. So instead of having to cut way long twice and then way short once, we're going to cut way short once and then we're going to cut medium twice. Does that make sense? So we're going to mark out our 43 5/8 and our 45 1/4. Then we're going to cut it that way, and then we'll have our 78 3/4 to cut, the other way. Makes it a little easier. So we'll cut it down from 8 feet, and then we'll make it more narrow instead of more narrow and then short. Make sense? Sure. If you've never seen the back of this stuff, or I guess what some people would call the top, I'm using the other side for the top, just because that's how it came off the pallet, or the forklift. These lines, there's your 16, there's your 24, there's your 32. There's your other 16, way over there. And they're not gorgeous, but they're pretty close. And then you go this way. 16, 24, almost 32. 48, 64, 72, 80, and there's your other. That's what the lines mean. If you care enough about them to need to know that. Fortunately, it doesn't help us out at all with any of this, because none of those are round numbers. The one round number we do have is 79, which is not divisible by 16. What a son of a bitch. I tell you the two things. The worst part about this project doing the floor so far. 3 things. Number 1, the rain. Hasn't been too bad. We had like one kind of big dump. Didn't last too long. I had it covered with some trash bags, so we're okay. That's number 1. Number 2, the blue crap you get all over your fingers. No. The walls. The walls in there being so textury and weird. I've had to cut everything 1/4 inch short as opposed to 1/8 of an inch short just to compensate for that. And it's still been off in a couple places because it's been more like 3/8 instead of 2/8, Sometimes it's up to a 1/2 inch, just weirdness in the wall. Number 3, it would be better without this. My floor is not level enough for this to line up all the time. I could have come out and just cut it, but that's a lot of extra work. So this is not going to be jointed together super great, which is fine. The 1/2 inch or whatever it is, this is 23-30 seconds, and this is 9/16. I don't remember. It's not 3/4 and it's not 1/2. Where it doesn't have that, it's gonna go in so much quicker and so much cleaner. No more wiggling and jiggling. It's just gonna lay a piece down, lay a piece down, lay a piece down, lay a piece down. And since we've got our sheets now are running this way, our 1/2 is gonna run this way, and I'm just gonna put them all across the back wall till I have to cut the last one. And then we'll go all the way across this way. And it'll be great. But for now, let's mark this thing out and get it cut. We need to cut this side down. And when I measured, because this is getting flipped over, because our tongue goes that way on this row, 78 3/4. Come on, marker. I wish you'd quit falling in that little tiny pocket. 78. 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, right there. And this tells me keep this side. I mean, a piece this big, it doesn't matter, but it's just a habit I get into. Okay. 79. Look at you. Ain't you a cutie? You're adorable. Okay. We will make this cut first. I have to reposition my supports here. Okay, so we'll get a line that, we'll cut it, then we'll come back and we take our short side off of this side. So from up there, we measure 43 5/8, and then from down here, we measure 45 1/4. Yeah, because that side needs to maintain factory straightness, because it's got to go into the other piece that has maintained factory straightness. You know how it goes. Heterosexual and on time. That's me. Okay, folks. Poor phone's been busy today, so this might be it for the end of the footage for a little while. Last piece is in before we put our... I had to argue with the door. It sticks out a little far on that side. But it's in. We're good. Everything's happy. Before I wrap up this batch, clean your floor really well. Sweep, vacuum, whatever. Before you put the other sheet down on top. You don't want anything on top that's going to cause you problems. I've got issues in the house because they didn't clean the floor well enough when they put the new floor down. 2 things that'll kill a floor over time. Well, pressure and time. Put a dime right there. Maybe not a dime. But if there's something right there and you put another piece on top of it, eventually it's going to poke up or poke down. That's number 1. Number 2, now is a good time to walk around and listen for any squeaks. Because if you don't fix them now, it's going to be a pain in the neck to fix them later. This one's a little rough, so this one could use some more fasteners. This one's okay. Those are all right. I've been walking over there on and off all day. This is fine. Oh, there's like, oh my God, there's big holes there. It's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. So I think it's just this one. Yep. So put a couple extra fasteners in that one. Vacuum. Bring in the 1/2 inch. Like I said, we'll start there. Work that way. And then hit here. Come back. And this will be done. And maybe I can have lunch. I came out here a little after 6. It was 46. Well, it's 1:30 and it's 48.5. Your old pal Jason, he's bushed. No mas. No mas, Tomas. I'm done. Floor's in. Had some, these doors, man, they're the worst. But we're in. It's not great. Especially, again, around the doors, it's real bad. What we're going to do before we start framing the walls, we've got some fairly large gaps between the wall and the subfloor because the wall does that kind of thing. Not today. Tomorrow, I'm going to go get another can or 2 of spray foam. We're just going to foam in there to help insulate a little bit. Could have used just about 1 more full piece to do this strip, but instead I was able to take 2 cutoffs. That's what I have left from those. That's what's left of the 3/4. And there's one skinny piece right on top of that cinder block of the 1/2 inch. So we made out okay. I've got enough that I can fill that thing in. And then cut a hole in it for our gable. So what we're going to do tomorrow, later in the day, 6 o'clock. It's 3:30 now. It's almost 4. I've been out here for like 10 hours. Almost. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. And look, turned into a half decent day except for this dang old wind. You try carrying a sheet of something in that. Lucky I didn't die. I could have been blown away, man. Like that movie, Holes. I think that's what happened in that movie. I haven't seen it. I don't care. Anyway, what we're gonna do, we're gonna get another run of our 2x4 there. We're gonna go all along the bottom, avoiding the... We might be able to make it work, actually. We might be okay. Maybe the day is saved. We won't go right in front of the doors, though. We're going to go along the floor. Like so. And then we're going to cut the rest of our studs. Like so. And then we can run cables for the outlets. Kind of like we did for the lights. And the new switch. Oh, and then I can pay somebody to come out and hook the breaker box up. Because I've never done that before. I could probably do it. But I want someone who went to school to learn how to do it, you know. It sounds a lot different. And it feels better. But Jesus Christ, every part of me. My knees especially, my hands. Nobody's happy. Okay, let's talk about this saw for a minute. I really like it. I've used now a Ryobi, a Makita, a DeWalt, a Craftsman, a Delta, and I think a Chicago miter saw. This is one of the best ones. The only issue, you see all that sawdust down there along the back? It's supposed to be in that bag, and it doesn't seem to, like, it doesn't want to go up there very well. It's, you know, maybe a quarter full, but there's more outside of the bag than there is in the bag. So, I don't know if there's a operator error issue on that or what. But no, perfectly great saw. The one I wanted, the Craftsman one, was $20 more. The one they offered me at Ace Hardware, because they didn't have the Craftsman one, was some weird Champion or something brand I'd never heard of. It was as much as this, and I can probably guarantee that this is a better saw. So I wish it actually wasn't the sliding one, because that's it. Really, for what I do, I don't need that. It's nice to have it, but I need that much more room to put it somewhere now. It'll be fine. Its real test will be tomorrow when we start doing all the studs. And this little bit here, this is one of the bits that had the heat shrink on it. This is the only one I used out of what I bought the other day. And it's gone through almost 3 pounds of screws. And 2 DeWalts didn't make it through 20. So, yeah, those are great. Can recommend. All right, now I got to put the canopy away. I got to put the extra lumber back under the tarp. I got to put the sawhorses away. I think the plug's still plugged into the shop, so whatever batteries I was charging, those are done, but I can't get to them right now. Jeez Louise. What a long day. And I haven't eaten. I'm experiencing what some people might call a caloric deficiency. Man cannot live on 1 cup of coffee and 1 Miller Lite alone. And I don't put anything in my coffee. So I'm, 120 calories for the day? How many calories are in coffee? Don't tell me.